Hello and welcome to the third episode of the Stranded Livestream. If you've watched this before, you know that I am figuring things out as we go. For some news today, I'm just going to lower the audio. We're on Facebook Live for the first time. I noticed that there was a lot of delay in the comments from on YouTube, which made it really hard to interact with people live on the stream. And it seemed like the delay was way less on the Facebook Live. And I think so. Gregory Bellini, Lee Alexander, Jimmy Capra, Jay Matharu, you're all interacting with the live stream. And I can do, I think I showed you this in the previous one. I can do things like this, add comments to the stream. And I'm just getting the sense that, I can fix this on the fly. I'm getting the sense that I'll be able to interact with you much better this way. And if we will upload the results, the archive of the live stream on YouTube as well. So you'll be able to watch it there on our YouTube channel. And just to rehash, if you haven't seen this before, we've set up a few different formats or ideas that we're planning to try out. One is a guest interview where you can nominate yourself to interview me or someone else, one of our artists maybe. Another is a public Skype lesson, which we did last week with Jack Gardner. I have a feeling that this was very appreciated. I certainly enjoyed watching it. Ola Explains is yet to be done. Watch Ola work. That's kind of what we're doing today. So we'll see how that turns out. We are this stranded live stream is part of our Spark program, which is our user community for Strandberg. And there will be a lot of interaction between these programs, and as you participate in Spark, you'll be able to also interact with us on this live stream, we hope. And I guess, sorry about that, product forum discussed some upcoming product feature, so that's also kind of ties in what we're doing today. But feel free to suggest other formats in that we can try out in the future. The email address is stranded@strandbergguitars.com. And few people email us throughout the week in between live streams. Here's a multifaceted or several questions from Thomas Anfrey that I thought I would just address before we get going. One question is about the string locks on the head end. Why are they individual for the well, I guess both the headstock and the bridge. Is it for string vibration? Is it for cost reason? And yeah, so when I designed the EGS, the ergonomic guitar system concept, I had in mind adapting each build to an individual customer. So we'd be able to look at the player's physics, how tall you are, shoulder size, arm length, etc., and just general posture when playing, and adapt the relationship between the fan fret scalings for that individual player. That was one big reason for making everything modular. And the underlying reason of that is to any manufactured part really drives cost. So when I started out, this was just a hobby. I did it for fun, my own entertainment. And I started with no money, and I got just amazing support by a local machine shop and company who gave me very generous credit terms. So they enabled me to make things and then pay them when I had sold the goods. But basically, I mean, I started literally on a dime. Anything that was expensive was just out of the question. So having a completely modular system where I can accomplish multiple scale lengths with like a library of standard parts, that was really important. So that was one of the design criteria going into the ergonomic guitar system. But then what we found, I guess, after the fact is that I think it does help the sound a great deal. It contributes to the property of a Strandberg guitar being very responsive and have a lot of headroom in your playing, but also the excellent strings to string separation, etc., and the clarity. A lot of that is the material choices, but a lot of it is actually the modular components. So that's, I hope that kind of answers your question there. Concerning the bone and body shape, Thomas also suggests a bigger cutaway for the hand, which we'll consider. Another question was about the tuner. It's a little difficult to adjust, and I think in the intonation in particular, but also the string height. So as with anything, any design, it's a lot of trade-offs. You want to accomplish some particular goal, and there are things that go against that. So sometimes it's cost, sometimes it's modularity, sometimes it's complexity of the design. One of the things that I thought was very important when I designed the EGS hardware is that everything is tightly coupled. So there would be no part that could vibrate, and there would be no loss of energy from parts moving around. So that's the reason for making the saddle adjustable the way it is. And that's also a reason for just clamping the tuner down to the base plate. And I think it's worth it for a lot of different reasons. Hopefully you don't adjust the intonation too often, but yeah, it's cumbersome. I want to show you one thing on our bass hardware. So a major challenge with the guitar hardware is that it's so small. There's the diameter of the tuner itself. There's just no room to build in any specific extra features. But on the bass hardware, it's a little bigger. So there's a shelf underneath the tuner, and in the base plate we have a screw which you can access by lining up these two slots with so you insert an Allen key, and when you adjust the intonation, you will unlock the locking screw, and this will hit against the adjustment screw, and you can access that with the Allen key, and let this slide forward, lock it again. So that's perhaps a little more elegant Yeah, I wish there was room on the guitar tuners to do a similar thing. But yeah, so keep the questions coming. Email them to stranded@strandbergguitars.com. I will collect the questions before each live stream, pick a few to answer. And because I know a lot of people watch these things after the fact and not necessarily during the actual live stream. So with that said, the topic for today, I just called it Ola Designs. The idea is, I think maybe you'll find it interesting to see like the software that I use, something called Rhino 3D, Rhinoceros. I love it. I'm self-taught, so if you're a Rhino expert and you spot me doing things in a weird way, don't hesitate to let me know. It's really hard sometimes. I've been kind of woodshedding the past couple of weeks and actually designing stuff, so to some extent I'm getting up to speed, but I don't use it enough to be really fluent, and some of these things are really hard to figure out. So it's a struggle at some point, but it's a super powerful piece of software, as you'll see. And the thing that I want to design is a way to tag an instrument so that you can interact with it and identify it using your smartphone. And in terms of for you as a customer or an owner of an instrument, I think there are lots of things you can do with this. The most obvious simple thing is for warranty registration. Scan it with your smartphone, land at some page that's adapted to your instrument. Maybe there's instructional videos there. Maybe there's a user guide. Maybe there's a way for you to upload pictures of your actual guitar or of you playing it. And maybe you can interact with other owners of the same model. So on and so forth. Maybe we can have all kinds of things attached to an individual instrument that might be interesting to like track over time and for you to interact with, and not to disregard tracking for safety reasons if it's ever stolen, etc. So a couple of different obvious options. I mean, the way it's down at the moment, what we used to have a warranty registration form. You could just tag in your serial number and add your purchase details. Now we kind of keep track of that anyway, so for warranty purposes, you're good. So don't worry about this page being down. But that's the most obvious one. Another thing that we considered was to use a QR code. To make a QR code be a little more interesting, you can do holograms on the QR code. So we've done a bunch of experiments with this. And we could put this at the back of the headstock, and you would scan this with your smartphone, be brought to a page that's specific to your guitar. But At the same time, I think this would be theoretically kind of an eyesore on the guitar. We do go for a minimalistic look and elegance in everything we design. So having a QR code, even with an exclusive hologram, etc., on it, might not be perfect visually. So another thing that exists already through various offerings is an NFC tag, which is looks like this. This is used in a lot of things, from Apple Pay to tracking of goods through factory and so on. And what's kind of neat with these is, what you do is in at least theoretically. Okay, there we go. NFC tag detected. Open StrandbergGuitars.com link. I can just click this, and it follows that link. So I can embed the serial number on each individual guitar on an NFC tag, and you would just scan it with your phone. And doing that is pretty easy. There's tons of different apps to do this. So you would just say write, add a record, and you can add various records. Then, of course, as with anything, there are limitations on the device you use, whether it's Apple or Android, if it's an iPhone 11 or older, etc., and various restrictions on this. But nonetheless, it is really cool. It's easy to use. It's reasonably doable in production. So then this is a question of, like, how do we get the QR code inside the guitar? We want it to be reasonably tamper-proof. I forgot to say you can also write protect these NFC tags, so you can make them so you can program them only once. So we can stamp them with the serial number and then make them read-only after that. So I wanted to come up with a way that would be fun. It'd be, I wanted something that would be visible on the instrument. Something you can kind of show off, or it will be obvious when you look at the instrument that there's something going on here. Maybe there's an icon. There are various NFC tag icons, or that will drive you to just hold your phone up against this tag and it'll be scanned. So what I thought we'd do is design like a visual element for the guitar that would also contain this NFC tag. So let's try that. Epic fail. I'm going to switch over there. And there we go. Still figuring this out. So I told you last week I switched from OBS Live to Ecamm Live, OBS Studio maybe, to Ecamm Live. And it's awesome, but it's very confusing sometimes. So let's just go and see what happens. So what what I had in mind was to make a small circular thing that we can put on the guitar. So I'd just pick a circle. I use the keyboard a lot, so the center of the circle is in coordinates 0.0. I'm going to say the diameter is 50. And what I then do in this program is I can extrude it, which means I'll make it three-dimensional. So you can see with my as I move my mouse, I'm moving this in 3D space. So let's make it 3 millimeters thick. I'm going to make that shaded. So now there's a 3 millimeter disc here. I can bevel the edge pretty easily. There are menu commands, etc. that are used interchangeably with text commands. So to fillet edge, radius 1, yeah, let's go for that. So I'll just pick this edge. Well, that was round. Nah, let's try something else. Let's try chamfer instead. So the same thing again. It's fillet edge. I'll choose chamfer edge. Yeah, I think that does look better, I think. So now, maybe I'm skipping ahead a little bit in the thought process of what I was going to do here. I've thought of various places to integrate this on the guitar, and I thought this would be neat to put under the volume knob of the guitar. So this would hold the volume knob on it. So let's try and do that. I will do a hole. I'll recess the volume knob, I think. So it says round hole, select target surface. It's that top surface there. Radius, I'm going to say 10 millimeter. The drill point angle, don't want it through. Yeah, let's recess it 1 millimeter, and we'll do that right around there. So minus 12. So I put it on the wrong surface. That's very interesting. Wasn't paying attention there. So let's try again. I'm really confused now. I should rehearse this. Why would this not? So let's just do that. So this would be the recess for the knob itself, and then the pot obviously has to go through. So I'll say take it through. It's 5. I can snap to the center of that hole, pull it through. So now with the hole through there. So We got Rhino expert. Partially. Thanks. Yeah, but I wasn't paying attention to. I think in which direction I extruded this. So I very rarely. Oh, and now I deleted myself. I very rarely use this round hole command. I usually extrude something else and do a so-called difference, Boolean difference between the solids, which I'll also show very briefly. Not entirely sure how to get myself back the picture-in-picture thing, so let's ignore that. So this is for the pot to go through. So now I want to hide the actual NFC tag. So this is 25 millimeters in diameter. It's pretty thin, so it doesn't have to be very deep. But I'll recess this. So let's, since I'm having various, not always perfect success with this, let's try it anyway. We didn't want it to do from the underside before, but this time we do. So let's do that. So we have a hole. It's punched in from the bottom to hide away our NFC tag. But this doesn't look very interesting, so I thought we'd include the star from the Strandberg logo here, which I can do with a text object. There's a star here because I did cheat and did do this before. So that gives me the Strandberg star. I can place that there, and I think I'm going to make that a little bit bigger. So probably something like that. So now I will use this other method that I mentioned before. So I'll do the same thing again, the solid, extrude, planar curve, straight, do that 1 millimeter up, and then there is this this extrusion was created by that command, and then I will simply move that up so it sits now on top of the surface. I can now select this, and I will do something called the difference. So I do solid difference, and it says I had this selected. So if I deselect this, I can do repeat solid difference. It'll say select surfaces or polysurfaces, subtract from this surface here, or this solid. Select surface or polysurfaces to subtract with, which is this guy here. So I delete that, and I punched in the Strandberg star into this little piece. So I'll delete that thing too. So this is basically it. And I have done some cheating, and I had this sent off and 3D printed. It's a service called Shapeways, that I use. There's tons of different ones, services like this, but basically it allows me to do simply export the 3D model that I did, upload it to Shapeways, and about a week later I get this back. So it has this space for the, I can stick this NFC tag inside there. And let's see what this looks like on an actual guitar. So we'll unscrew the volume knob. And I did try this before, and I noted that there's not enough there's not enough threads on this pot to do it well. So but the intent, if this was to make it into production, this whole thing would be recessed. It would be recessed into the guitar, and it would be glued in place permanently, because the intent would be for it to never be removed. But yeah, something like that, like this. You could vary the angle of this guy, I guess. Oh, it's falling down because I haven't tightened it. But yeah, maybe it'll be fun. You might recognize the True Temperament string guitar. This is what we used. So yeah, let me know what you think about the idea in general. Know what you think about this solution for it in particular. And obviously feel free to share if you have additional ideas as well. I did want to share one other possible implementation for this, which let's see. Robert, would a Strandberg star on that will work? Yeah, I might be misunderstanding the question. Yeah, it's there. Cool to see the star pop a little bit more. Yeah, I think that there are a lot of possibilities for making this. I guess it could be done with the contrasting color. I guess it could literally pop, so it could be like pop up instead of being embossed into it. Robert. Oh, instead of a circle, so the entire thing would be the Strandberg star rather than a circular shape. Yeah. Might look cleaner if it were finished just like the guitar. Yep, for sure. I do have I 3D printed a couple more samples in other colors just to see what that would do. But I didn't bring them into the studio here. Samuel, I think. So even with the surface, maybe about the recess it. I would recess it so basically this chamfered edge would kind of sit above the surface. I think. Put the thing in the back. Yes, it's easy to hide it at the back of the instrument, and that's where it might end up. We'll see. I've been aiming for something that would be like that would say, yep, I got this new thing, which would be like the reason for having it in the front. But that's also my biggest concern in terms of whether it's something that we want to do. Does it detract or add to the aesthetics of the instrument? That's the question I'm asking myself. Brendan, yep, that's my conflict right now. Would it be on the back? Would it be visible on the front as you were playing? We'll see. Jacob, thanks for the support. Yeah, Alex, hiding it. Could you put it under a strap button? Well, I'm saying that because there's an issue with anything that's metallic that's in the vicinity of this NFC tag. So I probably couldn't put it under a strap button, but I do want to show you an alternate embodiment of this thing, which let's do this. Bear with me for a second. I came up with to not just make this kind of possibly goofy thing with just a visual element that holds an NFC tag embedded in it. What could I do to that would actually be a functional piece of something that would add a function to the instrument? And Paul Masvidal was the first one to ask for this years ago, which makes me feel a little bit bad. But he wanted a way to hide the Allen keys, bring them with the instrument somehow. So what this guy is it would sit maybe there, like that. Or it could possibly sit somewhere here, where the strap button is. That's why I was like, yeah, could you put it on the strap button? Maybe, yeah. But what this is, it's has holes in it. It has a compartment for a magnet. I need a bigger magnet than this, but basically what this does, it magnet loads the. So I had that out of picture. So basically what this guy would do would be to sit there. There'd be a couple of holes there. You can insert your Allen keys, and they'd be traveling with you on the instrument. So that could be another potential way of accomplishing the same thing. I need to think about this a little bit more, and it is truly valuable to like get you guys feeding back on this in real time. Jamie says, I wonder if it have enough reach to sit between the pickups. I'd be a little bit worried in terms of like all that magnetics being in the vicinity, and also I think probably getting the phone close enough under the strings might be hard. Let's see. Who says something interesting? Is this the April Fool's strings? Yeah. In case you missed it, we did this thing about True Temperament, which is the squiggly frets. So as an April Fool's, bent some strings. Instead, we came up with true temperament strings to convert any guitar to TT. We did have a lot of fun doing that. Ronnie, what's the benefit of the tag? So I guess the possibilities are endless, but it's a way to identify an individual instrument. So this would be stamped with the serial number of the instrument and linked to the website. So basically you scan the tag with your phone. It'll take you to a page that's specific to the guitar. Maybe it's a warranty registration. Maybe it's a way for you to upload pictures of yourself playing, find other users of the same guitar model, etc., etc. Maybe it's for tracking if it's ever stolen, so on and so forth. So I think we could do a lot of cool things with this beyond just a serial number. Yeah, Christine, I agree. I do think it would be nice to carry the Allen keys with the guitar. And I guess something that we've been kind of struggling with is reducing the number of Allen keys needed. So harmonize the sizes a little bit. I hope we can get there at some point. Samuel, behind the neck. Yep, definitely. I mean, if we had gone with the QR code, it would the logical place would have been behind the headstock, obviously. So there would be human readable serial number just like now, but with the addition of the QR code. The NFC tag is not visually attractive, so we definitely want to like hide it somewhere. What other solutions do sometimes is hide it underneath the fretboard. So that is one way that works. And that's something that's always like a two-piece part of the guitar. So there's the neck itself and there's a fretboard that goes on it. So there will always be the option of putting the NFC tag inside. Since most of our guitars are chambered, we could in theory put it inside the body, like before you laminate the top and the body. But not all of our guitars are chambered, so it's not an option for like the classic models, which are solid body. Yeah, next April Fool's IKEA collaboration. Who knows? I hope we can make it a tradition to have an April Fool's joke. So don't believe anything. 1st of April next year. Not really related to the chip, but why don't you simply add an Allen key holder? Yes, we might. I think it's a good idea. It's an opportunity for something that's a machine part already. So it is definitely an option. A thing that I have been thinking about a long time is to incorporate the possibility of having a charging port for active pickups built into the control cover. So probably not a way to fit both, but who knows. Just looking at the comments here. Hide everything in the back. Yeah, I think there are various ways. I think to accomplish all of those things. Can we embed the Allen keys in the headstock? Yes. Paul's initial idea when he asked for this the first time is why don't you just drill some holes and put them here? So maybe that's what we'll end up with. So like I said, this this thing, it came about as an attempt to accomplish the NFC tag idea, but in some part that would have utility. It would have an actual function on the instrument rather than just be a decorative element and a way to hide the NFC tag. Yeah, if I abandon this thing, and certainly we abandon the other disk thing, then we'll find other ways to accomplish both of these things. I think I'm kind of running out of things to talk about this, so I'll take a few more questions. Can you talk about the trem arm issue? Mine doesn't seem to lock in place. I don't have a trem guitar here in this room, or I would show you. But basically, if this is the tremolo arm, there's a hole here in this little socket that sits in your tremolo base plate. There's a screw that comes up. What you do is you insert the tremolo arm until it hits the bottom, and then you turn it so you screw the arm onto this screw. Now this is not at all needed for operating the tremolo. This is simply if you want it to be swinging loose, like this, but not fall out. That's really the only reason that you really need this screw, because the maybe what you're asking for here is like hold it in place. Is if as you use it, when you let go, you want to stay in place and not just fall down. This is accomplished by a separate set screw at the rear of this socket where you put the arm in. So there are a couple of different problems that might have occurred if you can't get the arm to engage in the threads. They're documented elsewhere, so you can search on our website, the support.strandbergguitars.com. There's tons of information there, videos and descriptions of potential issues for your arm not being secured there and the solutions for it. But regardless, if you can engage it, it won't impact your use of it, because this small set screw at the rear of the socket will hold it in place. I hope that answered the questions. I'm sure we'll do like Ola Talks type live stream about the tremolo at some point in the future, because it's a complicated piece of kit for sure. Let's see. Jason, yeah, it did fit. Careful to glue it in the chamber. Yep. Yeah, that's my concern. If this is if we did go for this and it's a part that like sits on the guitar, we want these instruments to last multiple lifetimes. And yeah, there's definitely risk that anything of a foreign material or anything that's like stuck to it can fall off. So yeah, agreed. Brendan, yeah. How do we justify the price? I think what we have to realize is that a Strandberg guitar is more different than a conventional guitar than you might think. I started building these without, like, I done it as a hobby when I was younger, but I'm more or less self-taught. I'd read a book by a guy that I hope to get on the Stranded webcast soon enough, Melvin Hiscock. So I'll interview him on Skype on the Stranded webcast soon, is the plan. We, through a weird coincidence, we actually were introduced by a mutual acquaintance, and yeah, it's really cool. But anyway, so I'm basically self-taught. I came up with the concept of the what is now the Bowden design from just casting tradition aside, starting with a blank piece of paper, approaching this as an industrial design project. Like, how can I make a better guitar? How can I make a guitar that has functions that enhance the playability, enhance the ergonomics, creates inspiration for the user, lets a player practice for as long as he or she wants, not get injured, not get fatigued. An instrument that's so dynamic that you can play all kinds of genres on it, so on and so forth. And I came up with this. It's chambered. The top is laminated and it's bent. It's so-called drop top. The neck has the Endur shape, obviously, and use stainless steel frets always from the start. And to me, this was just, I just built the guitar. But when I approached factories that I wanted to build this guitar, this was like rocket science to them. I mean, this is way beyond just program the CNC to cut a new perimeter and get the body done. This is like building two guitars, gluing them together, make a third guitar out of the result. And this neck shape is I'm trying to you've probably all seen it or played one. The tolerances that go into making a shape like this are such that you have to cut it on CNC to a very tight tolerance, and then basically just polish the surface by hand. And in contrast to a conventional neck that can be rough cut on a machine in a matter of seconds and then hand shaped for the remainder in a matter of minutes, this is a matter of I'm not going to say hours, but it takes vastly longer on the machine, and then less time with the person actually doing the final shaping. And ironically, what drives cost in the factory overseas is machine time, not man time. So there's just a lot of different things that drive the cost of a Strandberg guitar from the manufacturing perspective. Another is we obviously have the proprietary hardware. We've put a lot of time and effort and cost into developing the hardware ourselves. We have to keep a factory running to make the hardware. Any warranty matters for this hardware. it's up to us to have a stock of spare parts for perpetuity, basically, and that doesn't come free. The other thing is that for performance reasons, our hardware is machined from aluminium. It's aircraft grade aluminium. It's not cast from zinc or other cheap materials as traditional hardware is. Each bridge piece is individual rather than a single base plate. And that just drives the hardware costs very high. So those are some of the things that go into making the guitar that drives the cost and hopefully justifies the price. And another thing is that we want to make a sustainable operation for everyone involved. Without going into too much detail about the guitar industry and how that's been run for a long time, it's basically been cutting margins to the point where no one makes any money anymore. And I mean, it's ridiculous that you can buy a playable, functional guitar for like $100. Can you imagine like how little money each step in that production chain is made? There's the wood supplier, there's the manufacturer, there's the hardware manufacturers, there's the distributor, importer, there's the retailer, and you can imagine. I mean, no one made any real money off that. We want everyone in that's involved in this to be able to live off this and to have a future and to be able to support everyone who owns a Strandberg guitar in the future and not go away or disappear because we made unsustainable design choices. Very long answer. I don't know if it was the one that you were hoping for. I'm sure when I think back on this later, I'll think of 10 more things I should have said or a few things I shouldn't have said, but it's live and that's what we're here for. I'll go back and see some more comments. We have, I try to keep these live streams an hour, so I'll do a few more minutes. John, thanks for the question. Thickness of the body and neck. I have not really experimented with the thickness of the body, except perhaps unintentionally. The neck, yeah, I have experimented with different thicknesses, and the Per Nilsson signature model, which is called the Singularity, that does have a significantly thinner neck. The idea behind the Endure neck is for it to be chunkier, and the shape that it has tricks most people into experiencing it as a thinner neck, but some people still want it to be literally thinner. So there's some variability there, but for now it kind of is. It is what it is. It was thicker through a couple of years of production when these were still called the Bowden OS in the early days, but we made it thinner again, and this is probably where it'll stay. But yeah, there's individual variability, and some people experience it differently and want it to be different. Jacob, yeah, social interaction, register your instrument, do all kinds of things, tie yourself and your creativity to the instrument. I think that there's just millions of cool things that we can do. Josh would love a piezo acoustic. Yep, we made a few. totally handcrafted. I think there will be something at some point in the future. The benefit of like getting up to some volume with our sales is that we have the constraints that I had starting out in like cutting every single item of cost. They're gone. So now, luckily, we don't have to hesitate. And if there's something that we do want to develop. So tying back to the question earlier about how to justify the price, well, we want to be able to invest in new features and functions in the future as well. Yeah, strap buttons. I am conflicted on this. There are a lot of very elegant solutions to strap buttons, but at the same time, I myself sometimes forget to bring everything I need. I'm sure you never do that, but I sometimes forget to bring everything I need. And if I could just find, the most standard part, like a strap, borrow it from a friend, then I want to have kind of standard strap buttons on the guitar to be able to play it that night. So it's far from the most perfect solution with the traditional strap buttons. But if you haven't checked out our straps yet, they have the Vital Grip from Bassiner, which is just an amazing invention. And it's like just 100% secure on a standard strap button. So with the right strap, 100% safe. With your buddy's old, used, crappy strap, it still works. If you have special attachments and stuff and you forget your strap, then you'll have to sit down and play. Let's see. We've run over. So thanks, man. I'm scrolling through the questions here. Thank you so much for everything, for sitting in, for listening, for interacting, posting all the questions. I wasn't able to answer all of them, but there will be more Stranded live streams. I will look through these questions and possibly address them in the next one. So have an awesome Easter, everyone, if you're so inclined, and stay safe and healthy. And we'll announce the next Stranded stream shortly. We'll do something fun next week. So signing out. Take care. Bye.